Edgy, take the wheel. It is so edgy that we changed the color from black to red. It had nothing to do with the fact that the Sharpie died mid-writing. Let's get to the messages.
This video is sponsored by NordVPN.
Jordan's messages.
Greetings, my brethren and sisterethren in Christ. I will request of Jordan not to start mumbling and skipping over the last third of the messages before he slams it down like a very temperamental human. So I'll tell you one thing. You better thank God that I'm gonna keep reading this message. He has shown grace to you today. Because I haven't. Yeah, there's everything that I want to do is not read this message right here, right now. But we have no other ones. So, I have no choice. So I am unable to drive, although I am 17. And I feel like someone who can't drive at my age may be unattractive compared to one who can. I am in the process of starting to learn how to drive, as I really desire to. I'm not sure how big of a deal it really is, but is it too early to think about being in a relationship if I can't even drive? I would very much appreciate your advice. Sincerely, guy who can't drive. Okay, in my life, before I had my license, I never thought of this. I never thought, okay, the quality that's going to attract a girl to me is if I can drive. No, the quality that's going to attract a girl is if you're nice, if you're respectable, if you, like, are a nice human man. If you're just, you know, if you're worried about you being attractive by the quality of your driving, or if you can or can't drive, like, I mean, I'm... Again, Josh, red flags all over the place. We need to think more of the internal rather than the external when we're trying to attract a person. And if somebody is like, I don't think I started to drive until I was like, maybe it was 17. I don't think that you should worry about that. It's not like you're one of these people who has no desire to drive and they're like 20 and they still like their parents driving around places. Like, I know people like this. You know, you have aspirations. You want to drive. I think that's good enough. It's all about the aspiration. Josh, I heard something somebody said one time.
Tell me.
They said, girls don't marry guys because of their assets. They marry them because of their potential to gain assets.
Wow.
It's not that a girl's gonna marry you because you have all these things. It's that a girl will marry you if they see the potential that you can provide. If you have the capability in yourself to get your driver's license, to, oh, this is a go-getter, this guy's an achiever. You know, it doesn't necessarily matter what you can do or have at that point. If they see within you that you're able to do all this stuff, then they're, you know, then you're gonna find a lot of people who want to, you know, be with you. Yeah, I wouldn't worry so much about the driving at this point in your life. Today I learned something very interesting. Hang on, listen up. I learned that when you're out and about, you have to be real careful about connecting to free Wi-Fi because, and Josh told me he's pretty sure that this actually happened to him while he was on vacation one time. Someone can make their device look like free Wi-Fi and then watch everything you do. Passwords, searches, uploaded photos, not good. Very messy. So here's what you need to do to make sure that that does not happen to you. You always want to make sure that the site you're visiting has the little lock icon next to the URL, and the URL starts with HTTPS. The S is very important. That's a lot of mumbo jumbo, but you know where this is going. The best way to always make sure you're safe and secure online is with a VPN. And NordVPN has a great deal they're offering the Messyges family. Go to nordvpn.com/cow to get a 2-year plan plus 4 additional months with a huge discount. It's risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. Again, that's nordvpn.com/cow. Do it now! Let's get back to the messages. Hey Jordan, I'm kind of an unconventional Christian girl with some issues. I adore fantasy and paranormal, heavy metal, goth/emo fashion, and RPGs. Basically all the things fundamentalists hate, haha. I am not obedient or submissive at all. I don't want to have a huge amount of kids. I didn't grow up in a strictly evangelical family or community. I struggle a lot with my faith, and I have really, really bad depression and anxiety. So basically I am not the kind kind of girl that a good Christian man would want to marry. I had a crush on a Christian guy and he rejected me, and I am scared that it was because I was not Christian enough, and or because of my mental illness. I am already 25 years old, and I'm watching all of my Christian friends getting married and having kids. I have wanted to fall in love and get married since I was a little girl, but I'm afraid that I can't do that because I am too Christian for most people, but not Christian enough for the Christians, and I'm just going to be alone. Maybe that's what God wants for me, and I have to just accept it. Thanks for reading and putting up with the angst. Wow, Josh, this is a tough one. This is a tough one. You know, some people are extremes. They're either extreme hardcore Christians or they're extreme atheists. Both those people almost have it kind of easy. Because it's easy to find an extreme Christian, it's easy to find an extreme atheist. But she's somewhere in the middle. She's torn. She's like, am I going to go the Christian route, or am I leaning more towards not necessarily the atheistic route, but normally we get questions from people who are dating, I don't want to say people like you, and they're like, Jordan, should I break up with them? What should I do? But this question, Josh, is coming from the perspective of the person who has just been broken up with. Who is this person? So what I would say is it's okay if you're a little different. That's fine.
A little different.
The thing that I would maybe try and stray away from, and I'm just saying this from personal experience with people that I know that have been into goth and emo and if you say like RPGs, I know a lot of people are these RPGs, Josh, but like if you mention that in a message, it's like I know what that means. Okay, I know what that means. And like the paranormal and all this stuff. The people that I have seen who were like the Christian, they came from a Christian family, they were a little, you know, the kids ended up being a little different, you know, they like these things, the goth, the paranormal, all this stuff. If you take that behavior and you extend that timeline out for 5 years, and then extend that timeline out to 10 years when you're 35, then extend that timeline out to 20 years, it just exponentially gets more and more worse. Like your life, I'm saying from my experience with these kinds of people, it just gets worse and worse with every year. It seems innocent at first, and then it just gets worse and worse. Now, I don't necessarily know what it is about the goth emo and the RPGs and that lifestyle. I have my guesses. Okay, I'll give you my guess. I think a lot of it is so like you say that you have depression and anxiety and this stuff. That like goth and emo, it's a way of taking that like identity and like completely coding yourself, identifying as a person with anxiety and depression. That's what, when I see a goth person, that's what I mean. All black, all like that's just what you think. It's like this person is trying to tell me something. They're trying to tell themselves. I would, if you want to get better from the depression and the anxiety, I would do stuff that like brings you back to like the real world. And everything that you listed, like fantasy, that's not the real world. Paranormal, that's not really in the real world. Goth emo, that's not in the real world. RPGs, that's not in the real world. The things that you identified with were not in this real world. And so I think it's not necessarily that it's you, it's that you're embracing these not in the real world things. And so when a guy who likes you, he likes you for you, then when you're like into this other like not real world stuff, he's like, oh, what? Okay, well that doesn't really make that much sense. Guys aren't necessarily I'm gonna speak for myself, but when a guy sees that a girl is kind of into this not real world stuff, it's a huge, and I hate saying red flag, but it's a huge like red flag. Like, okay, how long is this gonna progress? Because you know that sometimes girls and guys, but they go through these weird periods of time, but you don't know how long that period is gonna go for, and you don't want to wait it out because it could end really bad and it could end fine. I've seen them both go both ways. More likely than not, it's gonna go bad. So if you want to attract, you know, a nice guy, I would suggest trying to break out of these kinds of hobbies, especially if you're 25, okay? We need to break out of some of this stuff. and we need to start going down into more real world things, and that will attract, I mean, to be honest, I think that will actually help your mental state if you spend more of your life in the present and like in normal things outside of like paranormal activities and things like that, okay?
Jordan, I could tell you really struggled with this message.
I did, Josh. This was a hard one, because the problem is, Josh, because normally when somebody gives me these questions with somebody, I just say, get away from these people. But now, hearing from the person themselves, I can't just say, get away from these people, because now I have context. Now they're a real human being.
This is one of the most impactful messages we ever received.
That's right. Oh, Josh, I don't know what it was about these messages. This stressed me out today. That first question, I was stumped, Josh. But you know what? I was able to push through it. Just like all of you need to push through your problems. My biggest problem in life is when I get a message that is so hard for me to answer, I have to rack my brain. I might lose sleep over it. Did I answer it correctly? Did I lead her astray? Did I do it right or wrong? You know, these are questions. And they're questions that only I have to deal with. It's a big burden, Josh. It's a burden that's hard to bear. But, you know, we all have problems. We all do. And that's just the way that it is. Do you think I answered the questions right, Josh?
I think you did.
Okay, thank God.
Edgy took the wheel.
Edgy take the wheel, and Edgy took the wheel. Don't be messy. And leave good messages.